Hello everyone, myself Deepak Gupta, and today we will be taking up the topic agricultural income, and obviously not the least, the residual head known as income from other sources. And each of the head has a specific basis of chart which justifies what kind or what nature of income will be taxed under that specific head. And that basis of charge has been specified under first four heads, and that is why the income from other sources is known as the residual head, which does not specify what nature of income will be taxed in this head, but instead all other incomes which are neither covered under any of the four heads earlier and but still are taxable will be covered under this residual head income from other sources. So why I'm stressing on this section 14 instead of talking about the agricultural income? The reason being that when we talk of this word taxable income, there is another word which comes into mind that if certain incomes are taxable, then there will obviously be certain incomes which are non-taxable. So such non-taxable incomes are known as exempt income. And there is a specific section 10 primarily, subject to certain subsidiary sections, section 11, section 12, section 13, which enlists various incomes which are not chargeable to tax. So when we say this word exempt incomes, that is non-taxable incomes, then it denotes that there are certain incomes which are even though earned by an assessee, but the assessee will be exempted from paying any taxes on such incomes earned. And this exemption can either be mentioned or provided by the specific Income Tax Act, or each of the law which we have framed under Constitution has taken away the power to tax agricultural income from the parameters of the central government. So this does not fall under list 1. Those who have basic knowledge of Constitution, they understand that list A denotes the items on which central rules can be made, and list B denotes the items on which state rules can be made, and list C or list 3 is the concurrent list where both the central and the state can create the laws. So what is special? That Income Tax Act is a central act, that is the rules are framed by the parliament, whereas the constitution has not provided any powers to the central authority, that is the parliament, to frame any kind of taxes on agricultural income. Instead, such taxes, if they want to levy, can be we should say initiated only by the state legislature. Therefore, Income Tax Act, being the central act, does not have the power to levy any kind of tax on any agricultural income earned all over India. So you can see from here, that it is written here that agricultural income is exempt from the provisions of the Income Tax Act because it is not chargeable to tax under the central taxation scheme, because the constitution has given the power only to the state legislature. See? So effectively, we can say that agricultural income is not taxable, or we can say exempt. And other nitty-gritties, we first understand what is agricultural income, because until we know what is agricultural income, so it has been clearly defined so that your income, if it fulfills the definition as per the act, will be deemed as agricultural income, and only then it will not be chargeable to tax. So other persons who believe that their income is agricultural but it does not fulfill the parameters as discussed here, then it will not be agricultural income and they will be taxed in normal. So as per section, I just so as per section 21A, as you all know, most of the definitions are under section 2 of any act. So Income Tax Act is no exception. The definitions are always provided under what is, and section 2 provides the definitions of the various words which are not generalized and has been specifically defined under the Act. So what it says that following are classified as agricultural incomes. The first is rent or revenue received from land situated in India and used for agricultural purposes. तो अगर आपकी पूरे कंट्री इंडिया में कोई भी एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड की एक प्रॉपर डेफिनेशन है जो अभी हमारे इस डिस्कशन मोड का ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं है, बट अगर कोई लैंड एग्रीकल्चरल पर्पस के लिए नोटिफाइड है, जो लोकल अथॉरिटीज हैं जैसे कि एमसीडी पंचायत, दे क्लासिफाई द लैंड वेदर इट इज residential land, it is commercial land, it is agricultural land. So if any land has been classified, notified as agricultural land, then it can be used for agricultural purposes obviously, and then any rent or revenue. So rent or revenue denotes कि अगर आप उस एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड पर खुद एग्रीकल्चरल ऑपरेशंस कर रहे हैं तो आप उसको बेचकर रेवेन्यू जनरेट करोगे, और अगर आप उसके ऊपर खुद एग्रीकल्चरल ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहे हैं और आपने उसको किसी को लीज पे दे दिया है और वो जो लीज्ड ओनर या लीज्ड टेनेंट है वो उसके ऊपर एग्रीकल्चर पर्पज यूज कर रहा है और आपको उस फसल का हिस्सा दे रहा है या उसका कोई रेंट पे कर रहा है, देन both kind of incomes will be deemed as agricultural income under this first clause, that is rent or the word revenue. ठीक है. So the first and the second are quite complementary in the sense that if you are generating the rent or the revenue by not performing agricultural operations on your own, then your income will be agricultural income. And that person who has taken it on lease and now he is performing agricultural operations, so in concept the person who performs the agricultural operation is the farmer, and also the person who owns such land is the farmer. So whether you earn the rental income as farmer from agricultural land will be deemed as agricultural income under the first clause, and whether you are a farmer by performing agricultural operations and the revenue generated will be known as agricultural income. So लिखा हुआ है an income from such land through agricultural operations including the processing of the agricultural produce and rent in kind and whatever, so that the produce is ready to be sold in the market. So when you go in certain details, then you will find that such agricultural operations are primary as well as secondary. तो अगर आप में से किसी ने एग्रीकल्चर तो किसी ने करी नहीं होगी, लेकिन अगर किसी ने कोई एग्रीकल्चर एक्टिविटी होते हुए देखी है, फिजिकल नहीं देखी तो किसी मूवी में देखी हुई है, तो जिसे कहते हैं प्लोइंग, है, चाहे वो बैल के थ्रू हो चाहे वो ट्रैक्टर के थ्रू हो, तो वो एक प्राइमरी एग्रीकल्चरल ऑपरेशन है. लेकिन अगर आप सेकेंडरी ऑपरेशंस कर रहे हैं, प्राइमरी ऑपरेशंस नहीं कर रहे हैं, जैसे कि फसल काट ली सिर्फ, तो एग्रीकल्चर इज अ क्लस्टर ऑफ बोथ प्राइमरी एज वेल एज सेकेंडरी ऑपरेशंस. बट इट कैन हैपन कि आप सिर्फ प्राइमरी करो या आप सिर्फ सेकेंडरी करो या आप दोनों करो. तो जो लोग प्राइमरी ऑपरेशंस नहीं करते, सिर्फ सेकेंडरी ऑपरेशंस करते हैं, दे आर नॉट परफॉर्मिंग और दे आर नॉट डीम्ड टू परफॉर्म एग्रीकल्चरल ऑपरेशंस, एंड दैट इज व्हाई देयर इनकम विल नॉट बी डीम्ड एज एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम. तो एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम इस सेकेंड क्लॉज में तभी मानी जाएगी जब आप एटलीस्ट प्राइमरी एग्रीकल्चरल ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं. सेकेंडरी यू मे और यू मे नॉट परफॉर्म. So moving further, if I come to the third part, it says income from any farm building used for agricultural purposes. So it can happen that there is a agricultural land, and because of many agricultural lands in an area, the agricultural produce needs to be stored, and there are other things, agricultural goods, which may need a place to be stored. So some people can create a sort of house on such agricultural land, commonly known as farmhouse. So they may not be involved in agricultural productions on their own, but their farmhouse is used as a storage for such agricultural goods or agricultural produces or agricultural equipments. And for that, they may charge certain rental income. So those people who are the owners of such farm building and they earn such kind of incomes whether in the form of rent or in the form of the part of the agricultural produce, and then they sell it, then such income from farm building, which has been used indirectly for agricultural purposes, will also be deemed as agricultural income and will not fall under the purview of taxation. ठीक है जी? And now the fourth one. In around last 3 or 4 years, there is an amendment made under this Definition of Agricultural Income Act, where this fourth income has been added to agricultural income, because we as a humanity are going into an environmental crisis where we need more and more trees, that there is a green belt recovery. So earlier, this definition, this income of such nurseries were not deemed as agricultural income, and they were in a dilemma that in spite of doing agricultural processes, agricultural functions, their income was not, there was a dispute whether such income is agricultural or not. So now to remove all such, should say, will be deemed as agricultural income and shall be deemed as exempt under section 10 subsection 1. So subsection 1 denotes that this is the first and the foremost section of exemption. This is the first and the foremost section of exemptions. So keeping this in mind, there are few examples of agricultural income. For example, income from horticulture, floriculture, raising of grass, etc. Like these are the examples of nursery. Secondly, compensation from an insurance company against the loss to a damaged crop. We have discussed earlier that whenever there is a claim of insurance against the insurance company, then it is a kind of deemed transfer, and any income shall be deemed as capital gains. Now, if we relate the topic here, a farmer will generate or will grow the crop, then he will sell it, and then the revenue will be there, and that revenue shall be agricultural income. But in today's time, they have been provided the benefit of crop insurance. Now, this crop insurance gives an assurance to such farmer that even if there is any bad weather or loss of crop, then he will be getting the money from the insurance company. So insurance claim, if there is a loss of the crop, will be like a sale value for it, and therefore any insurance claim received on such loss of crops will be deemed as revenue from agriculture, and hence will be deemed as agricultural income and won't be taxed. Similarly, those who are just selling the seeds to other people will be agricultural income. And similarly, लोगों ने अपने प्लॉट्स बनाए हुए हैं, बड़े बड़े उन लोगों के ग्रीन लैंड्स हैं जहाँ पर बाकी लोगों के कैटल्स ग्रेजिंग करते हैं, और वहाँ से वो उनकी रेंटल इनकम जनरेट कर रहे हैं. Because this is also, this is not a new word where you have free so much green land where cattle can move on freely. There can be cases where people develop the green lands so that other can allow their cattle to graze. So they generate these grasses on these free lands so that the cattle can graze, and they generate rental income from such. So these four are basically special examples to understand that these kind of activities are covered under the four definitions above, or four subsections above, and hence they all are different kinds of agricultural income. And as per the provision of section 10 subsection 1, they will be deemed as agricultural income from India, and agricultural income from India will be taxed if under only state legislature, not under the Income Tax Act under consideration here. Now, I hope this definition of agricultural income is good for you. Now, we will move on to another topic, which the topic specifies the word apportionment of income. Now, what it implies, there are certain other rules also, but I am focusing on Rule 7A, Rule 7B, and Rule 8. That there are certain cases where a individual, or I should say an SSC, because it can also be a company, and in most of the cases it is a company only, that an SSC is involved in the business of agriculture, but the agricultural produce is not sold directly by. He processes it and then creates a new product and then sells it. So if he has sold that agriculture produce directly, then whatever income he or she or the company must have generated could have been agricultural income. But because he processes that, that is, such agriculture produce becomes a raw material for him, and then he produces and creates a finished good that is sold. So in a way, he is undertaking the business activities also. So he undertakes the process of agriculture to grow agriculture produce and then process it and then sell the finished goods by creating a business opportunity. So whatever the total profit accrues to him from the stage of growing that primary produce to the state of selling that finished goods will include both agricultural incomes as well as the business income. And it is so difficult to classify that out of that profits, how much is the agricultural income and how much is the business income. And the perfect example are tea and the coffee. And tea being the most common, कि कुछ लोग होंगे जो चाय की, अगर किसी को पता है थोड़ा सा, तो चाय जो आप पीते हो वो उस फॉर्म में ग्रो नहीं होती। जैसे कि आप नॉर्मल प्लांट्स देखते हैं, उनकी जो लीव्स होती हैं, सिमिलर वे में टी की लीव्स होती हैं। और वो टी की लीव्स की जो आप प्लांट जो टी की जो लीव्स क्रिएट करता है, वो टी की लीव्स की प्लकिंग होती है, जिससे कि वो प्लांट दोबारा से लीव्स नहीं लेकर आए। और वो प्लकिंग जो टी लीव्स की होती है, दैट इज प्रोसेस्ड, and that is after being processed creates the tea that you drink. And if you will feel that that each and every company has separate taste, and it may happen that their tea plantations are side by side either in Kerala or in Assam, which are the primary two states creating the tea. So अलग अलग कंपनियों के टी प्लांटेशंस बराबर बराबर में है, तो टी जो लीव वहाँ ग्रो हुई वो सिमिलर है, लेकिन उनकी जो टी आप घर में आके पी रहे हो वो अलग अलग है, क्योंकि उसमें प्रोसेसिंग और टेस्टिंग अलग अलग तरीके से हुई है, मिक्सिंग अलग अलग तरीके से हुई है। तो वो सब बिजनेस एक्टिविटी है। तो टी यानी कि चाय की पत्ती उगाना इज एग्रीकल्चर, और चाय की पत्ती को प्रोसेस करके पैक करके जिस फॉर्म में आपके पास आ रही है उसमें बेचना वो बिजनेस है। So what has been done that we have created this rule 8 which says कि जो लोग टी को उगाते भी हैं और टी को प्रोसेस करके बेचते भी हैं, जैसे मान लो टाटा टी, तो उनकी टोटल इनकम का 40%, सी है, 40% will be business income and 60% will be agricultural. So 40% is the business income and 60% is the agricultural income. So they should pay tax only on this 40% business income. And this 60% agricultural income will be deemed as exempt. Similarly, when we talk of the word tea, we also talk of the word coffee. If you see here, coffee के साथ दो सेक्शंस हैं सिमिलर, 7B 7B, बट दोनों सिमिलर सेक्शंस हैं। फर्क क्या है कि कॉफी को उगाना, कॉफी को फ्राई यानी कि रोस्ट करना, और उसको कुछ एक प्रोसेस होती है ग्राउंड करना, और यहाँ पर ग्रो करना और क्योर करना, ये कुछ स्टेप्स हैं जो एग्रीकल्चर प्रोसेस में यूज होते हैं फॉर द वर्ड कॉफी। तो जो लोग क्योर नहीं करते, ठीक है, उनका 40% प्रॉफिट जो है वो बिजनेस है और 60% एग्रीकल्चरल है। और जो लोग क्योरिंग कर रहे हैं, ग्राउंडिंग नहीं कर रहे हैं, उनका 25% बिजनेस इनकम है और 75% एग्रीकल्चर। यहाँ आइडियली अगर अभी कंफ्यूजन में ना रहे तो दिस इज द की सेक्शन रूल 7B, जहाँ 40 और 60 is the key. 40 is the business income, 60 is the agricultural income, like the word tea. So these two rules are similar. That is rule 8 for tea and rule 7B by default for coffee, where in both the cases 40% is business and 60% is agriculture. But if someone wants to remember further, जहाँ ग्राउंडिंग नहीं हो रही है वहाँ बिजनेस इनकम कम कर दी गई है, तो दिस वर्ड ग्राउंडिंग इज द वर्ड। ग्राउंडिंग है तो 40-60 है, ग्राउंडिंग नहीं है तो 25% और 75%। Similarly, we have another section, Rule 7A, which relates to rubber. अगर आप किसी को नहीं पता है तो रबड़ के प्लांट्स होते हैं, और प्लांट की जगह मुझे कहना चाहिए रबड़ के बड़े बड़े ट्री होते हैं, ट्रीज, और उन ट्री की जो स्टेम होता है, जो तना होता है स्टेम, वहां से वाइट लिक्विड निकलता है जिसे बोलते हैं लेटेक्स या सैनेक्स, और उसकी प्रोसेसिंग कर कर ही हम लोग जो यूजेबल रबड़ है वो बनाते हैं। तो रबड़ के ट्रीज को ग्रो करना एग्रीकल्चर है, और उस रबड़ के ट्री से लेटेक्स और सिनेक्स को निकाल कर अगर आप डायरेक्टली बेच देते तो आपकी सारी इनकम प्योरली एग्रीकल्चर होती। लेकिन जो रबड़ कंपनीज हैं वो खुद रबड़ के प्लांट लगाती हैं, जरूरी नहीं है कि वो बाकी लोगों से नहीं खरीदती। तो अगर मेरा रबड़ का कहते हैं प्लांटेशन है, तो मैं रबड़ के ट्री उगाऊंगा, लेटेक्स सिनेक्स को निकाल कर बेच दूंगा, मेरी सारी इनकम एग्रीकल्चर होगी। कुछ ऐसे लोग होंगे जो इस लेटेक्स को खरीदेंगे, प्रोसेस करके रबड़ बना के बेच देंगे, उनकी इनकम सिर्फ बिजनेस होगी। और कुछ लोग जो दोनों काम कर रहे हैं, प्लांट उगा रहे हैं और उसको प्रोसेस करके रबड़ बना के बेच भी रहे हैं, उनका 35% ऑफ द टोटल प्रॉफिट विल बी बिजनेस इनकम एंड 65% ऑफ द टोटल प्रॉफिट विल बी एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम। तो वॉट एवर, तो वी कैन समराइज कि बाय डिफॉल्ट चाय और कॉफी में 40% बिजनेस इनकम है और 60% एग्रीकल्चर इनकम है, और रबड़ में 35% बिजनेस इनकम है और 65% एग्रीकल्चर। ठीक है, so this is all theoretical about agricultural income. In addition, we have another concept known as partial integration, which says that though agricultural income is exempt as per section 10 subsection 1 of the Income Tax Act 1961, but that is applicable only if an SSC has agricultural income only. So there can be people who will have agricultural as well as non-agricultural income. So those who have agricultural as well as non-agricultural income also are not provided exemption on agricultural income blatantly. There is an indirect way of taxing agricultural income where the way of calculating tax on their non-agricultural income is modified as per the process of partial integration, and this scheme of partial integration increases their tax on non-agricultural income slightly. So we can say that this slight increase in their non-agricultural income due to partial integration is effectively is an indirect way of taxing their agricultural income. So for those who have only agricultural income, there is no taxability. But for those who have agricultural income as well as non-agricultural income, then partial integration becomes applicable and it increases their tax on their non-agricultural income in comparison to the normal taxation purposes. And that is why we can say that partial integration is an indirect way of taxing agricultural income of those assessees who have agricultural income as well as non-agricultural income. And we will discuss that when we join to our platform and contact us. On this note, with Deepak Gupta signing off. Thank you very much.